product, which is incredible performance. So we decided then that Grattan Wilson is the current director of Gymnastics WA. We put the partnership into place, and this is the second year of the partnership. And we now have about 17 training members. They're all at very elite level. Even we have a youth wing called Cirque, which performs in youth events and school shows, things like that. And we have a professional company, Skadada, which we perform at corporate events, balls, things like that. Upcoming events would be Ronald McDonald Ball, Woodside Ball, things like that. Also, we perform outdoors, and I'll come to that, another partnership we have with Boom Logistics, which are here today. I'm really pleased to see these guys, where we have found innovative ways of performing aerials outdoors. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of our work, because really that's what we're about, is the performance side of it. I'm showing you some of this footage because it was done at the recent Innovations Festival, and so it has quite a sort of a good connection with people like Penny Griffin, who has helped us put this together. We combine visuals and live performance, and you can see one of our aerialists here working off what we call aerial silks, and as you can see, the amazing flexibility and artistry in these performances. Now, we've performed this act in the Convention Centre at Burswood, off cranes in the streets of Northbridge, off aerial arches. Wherever there's a place where we can rig, we'll perform. And the beauty of aerial performance is that you can perform for large numbers of people because it's high in the air, often at 8 or 9 metres, and a whole thousands of people standing on the ground can get a really good view. So it's not only that, it's very spectacular, and there's a huge demand for it, as witness to Cirque du Soleil's incredible performance here recently. And if you think about Cirque du Soleil's last show, and this is our benchmark that we're aiming for, they took $10 million out of the state in just box office revenue. So it's a huge market, and there's a huge demand for aerial performance and circus, but a new sort of circus, a sort of circus that combines really high levels of artistry and performance. So that's really our benchmark. Now, I'd just like to, just going from our partnership with Gymnastics WA, which really supplied the sort of people we needed to develop into these sort of performers. Our partnership with Boom Logistics is another really innovative partnership. We had a problem where we were being offered performances outdoors, and normally what you'd do is you'd put an aerial arch up, which is a structure that takes a whole day to put up. It's quite limited, it's only about 7 metres wide, and you can only go up to about 10 metres, which for an aerialist is very low. So we thought, well, it'd be great if we could, use something else. And we thought, well, cranes would be a great idea. And of course, in Perth, this hadn't been done. And we had spent a long time working with WorkSafe to get the approval. And we approached Boom Logistics. And Boom Logistics incredibly bravely said, sure, we'll fly human beings off our cranes if WorkSafe say it's okay. And we've done a number of performances with them in Forest Chase, which was a groundbreaking show because they hadn't used cranes in Forest Chase before, and on the streets of Northbridge 2 years running, and we're hoping to also do that again for New Year's Eve this year. And I'll just give you a little bit of a funny story. When we were performing for the Awesome Festival with our youth wing, and we had 2 little cranes either side of the stage, and the guys were flying in this, I think it's about 4 or 5 metre heavy boom. It was flying over the trees, and they were dropping it down on the stage, hooking up often some of the aerialists in our youth shows are 10 or 11-year-olds, and their parents were just going, oh my goodness. And with the artistry of their crane driving and control was amazing. It was like part of the performance. They just lowered this boom in, they took it up, everything was totally seamless and absolutely sort of perfect. And at the end of the night, the lighting guys shined lights onto the cranes, and the crane guys took a bow, and the whole audience was just, whoa! And I had people coming up and going, you guys were great, but I need to talk to the crane guys. They were just awesome. So, and we've had, youth festival directors from Vancouver and stuff meeting us and going, yeah, you were great. Do your crane drivers come with you? So that was another innovative partnership and a way of just optimizing human resources and expertise with what we do to make what we do possible. Because in the arts, as you can be aware, so much money or time gets spent on training people and getting people to the level you need, that you really do need help from business and corporate, and from the corporate sector. And in Perth, we have an amazing corporate sector that really do get behind the arts and help. This is just an example, Boom Logistics, but there's Wesfarmers and Commonwealth Bank, all sorts of amazing companies out there that really do help get our orchestras and ballet companies and what have you up there. So I think the other two speakers have really focused on different aspects of how you optimize your human resources, how you make your workplace a fun place to be. And for us, it's all those things are important, and the strategic alliances that we make with the corporate sector are really helping us grow the company. So thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that. As I was sitting there listening to John, the words that came to my mind was a flexible working environment. Also, too, having people that are willing to be multi-skilled, to go from one profession to another, but to transfer those skill sets into another working environment, which very much represents the workplace, because in the future, technology will be the driver. That I know with some industries, for example, with the library industry, they're moving into a more technology-based environment, and it's amazing how many librarians are actually resistant to change because they're moving from books into open access, plus also too they're having to move into more customer service, so there is a natural resistance for change. So I think flexibility in the workplace is quite important. Now, what I'd like to do is to open this session up to a Q&A session, a question and answer session. So I can just get you to think about questions that you may like to ask our speakers, and if I can just invite our speakers up to the stage. So Michael, Robin and John, if you could make your way forward to the table there. And I've also kindly asked for 2 volunteers to rove with the microphone. So if I could ask Adrian Robinson to come forward, and Noaz Mahmood. Adrian Robinson is a manager with the Royal Perth Hospital. So Adrian, if you could just stand there, be fine. And Noaz Mahmood, if you could stand to the left-hand side. Noaz is a manager with the Australian Red Cross. So what I'd like to do is to open it up to questions to the panel, and I'm just wondering if anybody would like to start. The first question is always the toughest, and I know that Rhonda Coleman will be quite willing to ask the first question. Are you willing to do that, Rhonda?
I found the presentation very good, thank you very much.
Well, thanks.
And I think that for me, as moving in healthcare, the St John of God things were really quite important. I'm just wondering how you managed to get the word out, not just in Perth, but elsewhere, about how good you are.
It's really from the employees themselves. It's I think that's probably the whole strength of our recruitment and retention processes, that it needs to be driven from within the employees and how they feel about the place. But other ways that you can get the message out is we're trying to encourage our employees to present at conferences, to be involved in forums. It's for us as leaders to ensure that we're able to participate in industry forums and any networking committees that we can get involved in so that we can get the message out about what St John of God Healthcare does. And I think that the websites now are very important, and there's a lot of people that search the web and are looking for information about your facilities and what you provide. And in fact, I was talking to somebody last week that has just joined the organisation, and it was through going onto our website, they felt that the values that and the information about the mission and values was really what swung them into looking for a position at our hospital. So I think that that's another important factor.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Thanks for asking the question, Rhonda. Would anybody else like to ask a question? Just a show of hands, and we'll have our roving microphonists run up to your table.
Actually, Greg, just while people are thinking about a question, I might just add something to what Robin has said, and this will be news for Robin. But we've done a lot of work for St John of God for a long, long time, and we, in fact, have taken a major lead from an organisation that we admire greatly, St John of God, and that is to establish values in our business. And up until perhaps maybe 3, possibly 4 years ago, those values were never actually formally expressed or printed or visible. And my business partner, in fact, did a lot of work for the nuns, and they would start every meeting with, well, depending on your point of view, a prayer or a reflection, which he found actually really impressive. But what was even more impressive was that the nuns really lived out what they believed in, their values. And the first question was, well, how do you get those values out? And Robin showed a slide of the driveway into St John of God, where their values, single words, are expressed. And what I have found in our business over the last 3 or 4 years is what an amazing impact describing your values has. And people have actually got something they can hang what they do on and why they do it. And we've put our values on our website, and I'd love to say that it was all our own idea, but I've got to tip my hat to the nuns at St John of God. It's so compelling if you can represent and replicate and identify what your values are in your organisation, and then when you come to interview people to work with you, to be able to talk about what you believe in is incredibly powerful. So whether you're a local authority, whether you're a corner shop or a Woodside with thousands of people, values are just so central and enduring from the experience that I've had. So St John of God, thank you.
So any questions from the floor? Thanks, Andrew.
Hi, Robin. Mary Miller's my name, from Sir Charles Gardner. You've talked a lot about values and things like that, which are obviously very important in your organisation. I guess I'd just like to know, how do you sort of monitor the ongoing adherence to those values, and how do you deal with people that are perceived to be not following them at any level in the organisation?
We do monitor and measure our performance against the values. We undertake yearly a caregiver satisfaction survey, and there's questions in relation to the values as part of that, so that we can internally benchmark against other St John of God hospital facilities. Also, other questions within the caregiver satisfaction, I suppose, give us indicators about the culture of the organisation, and we can actually benchmark that against other external hospital providers that are involved in that measurement tool. We do use some internal measures. We have and we undertake perception mapping exercises where we can actually design questions about our organisation, and we can internally benchmark by department. So it drills down to very much a departmental by departmental area, and we've just undertaken that exercise, and we may even ask questions about, do you feel that gossiping is a problem in your department, so we can just sort of tease down into areas that we want to look at. In terms of how we deal with the behaviours of people, it's written into our job descriptions that people will align themselves to the mission and values of the organisation, and if we believe that people aren't working within or acting within the mission and values, then we'll undergo formal performance management. But basically, if we come across people that are talking to each other inappropriately or whatever, we'll deal with those issues as they arise, and if necessary, go down that formal performance management process.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, thanks for that. Noah's?
Thanks. Chris out in Silver Chain. Just a question, possibly generally industry-wise and specifically to you, Robin, around the retention of staff, which is a bit of an issue for us. How do you figure the remuneration and also possibly the need of individuals to maximise their employment if they're a casual? How do you figure those two elements fare in the retention of staff?
In all of the research that's been undertaken, pay and benefits do play a role in retention of staff. And I suppose if I look at the flip side, why people leave, pay and benefits only becomes really important when the other factors aren't, if they're not happy with the culture of the organisation. But the main reason people will stay are because of the teamwork and the culture, that aspect. In relation, though, to pay and benefits, we obviously have what we believe is a competitive enterprise agreement, and you have to keep an eye on what's happening in the industry. We do have salary packaging, and there is a sheet in amongst the files there that talks about the benefits that we do have, but we try and reward in other ways. So we'll give out Christmas presents, and we'll have the free lunches, and we'll try and reward and recognise in a different way other than just with pay. So I'm not sure if that fully answers.
Actually, I'll be interested to also get Michael's viewpoint on that,
yeah.
Michael, in regards to retention and retainment and remuneration. What are your thoughts on that?
There certainly are examples of people who will take jobs irrespective, within reason, as to what the salary is. In the market that we're operating in, it's very uncommon to see people moving just for money, and equally it's uncommon to see them moving backwards. The example I referred to earlier this morning about the gentleman in Houston, not only was he not aware that there was first world healthcare in Perth, he actually took a salary drop to come here once he found out that we actually could look after James Hird after an accident on the football field. But money isn't the biggest driver for the people that I see. If I contrast that, though, with some of the support staff that, say, we have in our office, money is an issue. $55,000 versus $62,000 makes a difference. So it's horses for courses, I guess, is the experience that I've seen. But at the very senior levels, it's not quite such an issue.
And John, how does that compare with the arts field? Is it a different culture in regards to money, or are people just happy to...
Money and the arts are two...
never meet. Or are people just happy to transfer the skills over?
Sorry?
What are your thoughts?
I think in the arts, they're definitely not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you're interested in what you're going to be performing. If you're a performer, you're interested in the content that you're going to be performing, or the style of the performance that you're going to be doing, or the company, or the profile of the company. Basically, it's that drives you. And I think a lot of performers, are interested in public recognition and that's what they do. So I think that's what drives them. But also I think, the thing about having a really strong mission is really important, and that it's in everyone's heads. Like everyone, even a 14-year-old that would be going out in a school show or a youth show, I try and instill in them, you're representing the company, you are aiming for the best, you're aiming to achieve your best, and you're an inspiration to other people your age, or you're inspiration to other people per se. So those sort of things I think go across the board. I think that the idea that you have to, really achieve the mission of the whole company, and it's in your interest to do that, and it's in the company's interest, so everything's working on the same page, is really important. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks for those insights. Appreciate it. Any other questions from the floor? Okay, just at the back there. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you. Just have another question for Robin. Could you elaborate on some of the incentives that you have for your staff to recruit nurses from other areas towards St John of God?
Yes, what we've tried to do is, you're probably aware that there's, in some of the hospitals, that there's quite strong financial incentives. So people are offering up to $2,000 for spotters rewards. We had a lot of debate about